Hello guys and gals, I'm Asil. Today I'll be working on the Bitcoin client system, whatever thing I talked about in my previous video. If you haven't seen that video, just watch it. It gives you a quick intro to what I'm trying to do here. And I think it'll be helpful to understand the direction I'm taking this project in. So this is the first video, and of course I've done a couple of things, but not much, and I'll go through everything I've done in the video. It'll be quick. So this is today's checklist right here. We'll go through them one by one, and I'll try to show you as quick as I can what I've done and how you can replicate these things if you want to follow along. I have not set up a GitHub repo yet, but that's going to be next on the to-do list, so that you'll have access to basically all the files I have access to. And if you follow along in the videos, you should be able to easily replicate everything I'm doing with minimal effort. So another goal here is to try to make replication as easy as possible. Okay, so the first thing I did, right here I have my IDE open, which is IntelliJ IDEA for Scala development. I've set up a simple SBT project, and yeah, basically this is the starting point. The project is called Hello Bitcoin, as you can see here. So quickly go through what an SBT project looks like. So this is the root directory, and then we have in the root directory you have to have a build.sbt file. Okay, I'll show you the contents of that in a minute. And then all our code goes in this source main Scala folder, because we're working with Scala. And if we have any Java classes we're going to write, we put them here. So Scala, and you have a single class or the main entry point for the program, which I'll show you in a moment. And I have a couple extra things here. I have a Vagrant file, which is basically a simplified development environment thing. It's a piece of software that easily allows you to set up a development environment using a virtual machine running, say, Ubuntu or CentOS or whatever. And I'm using that actually to quickly set up, using one command basically, set up an environment, a fresh machine locally, which has the Bitcoin software and everything I need for testing purposes. And then I have the to-do file I have open here, okay? And then this is a script. I'll show you what that is later. So let's start and look at the project files. So first the build SBT. So this is basically what SBT uses as a guide to manage dependencies for the project and also to build the project. So at the top here I have a sequence, basically like a list, and it has each of the dependencies in the Maven format or whatever it is. And so I have a dependency on aka actor and a dependency on spray JSON, which is the JSON library I'm planning to use. There's a lot of JSON here, you'll see why. And then I have another variable here, val, which has some key value pairs for the project itself. So the organization name, which is unique, version number, and Scala version I'm using. And then finally, I set up a root project. So this basically says the current folder is the root folder for the project. And I add the settings above here and the dependencies to the project object. That's it for the build SBT. So this allows me to fully build just with one command, SBT compile, in the command line. I can build the project. So I'll show you quickly. So I'm currently in the folder Hello Bitcoin, SBT compile, and that will build the project, whatever it is, just with one command. Okay. Right. So now this is the main file I have, which is this one here, the main object. And basically the two imports just to make sure that the spray JSON library is correctly imported. And then here we have the main entry point, object main, and in Scala, as you all know, we need a main, and in Java, we need a main function, which takes an array of strings as an argument. And all I'm doing here is I'm printing the arguments passed in. That's all I'm doing. So let's change this and say whatever. So we can recompile it. We say hello world. Remove the string identifier there, and yep. So if I compile and run this, I should get hello world. So you can do SBT run, which will compile if there are any changes, and run. It should compile because we just changed it. And we should get hello world after it compiles to make sure everything, there we go. So everything is running correctly. You have me.slbtx.main. That's great. So project files are set up well, as we can see. So we can just say that's done. Right. So then the Vagrant dev environment. How did I set that up? So it's pretty easy. I'll give you a quick tour. So the software Vagrant, which you can download from the website here, vagrantup.com. It's easy to download for Mac, for Windows, for Linux, whatever, and allows you to easily set up virtual machines running whatever operating systems, whatever software, locally, kind of like to mirror your remote server. So let's say you have a server in the cloud running Ubuntu, but you don't want to have to push your code every single time to test the environment in the cloud, right? So you just replicate that exact setup you have in the cloud and replicate it locally using a Vagrant box. So you'd set up the box with a script, which is this thing here, this Vagrant file. You'd give it a couple of commands to tell it, once you create the box, what do you do? What software do you install? What kind of operating system is it? And then it'll be set up fresh, and then you can run your software on it locally. And then once you feel okay, your changes are okay, you push to your master branch in your Git repo, for example, and then you can push to your remote server, and it should be exactly the same. I mean, assuming you have the same development, your development environment mirrors your production environment. So I don't have a server actually set up right now, remote. I'm just going to work locally, and it should be sufficient. And then later on, I can easily migrate to the production server when I decide to. Okay, so right here, it's really simple. You have 3 lines in the configuration. This is like whatever, it's Ruby code, if you noticed. So I say, okay, the box is CentOS 7, and this is a name that's unique. You can search online in their repository. They're like they have an online hub for these boxes. You can use Ubuntu, you can use Debian, whatever you want. Then I'm forwarding a port from the guest to the host, leave that alone. And then here I have a provision command. Basically it says, once you create a new box, then run this provision sh file, which I've defined here. And basically its contents is, it will download Bitcoin from the official website, extract it, and then it will copy the binaries from the Bitcoin folder to user local bin, which will be on my path. And then it will create a Bitcoin configuration file with a test username and password for the remote procedure call interface of the Bitcoin daemon. So I'll show you, I mean, you'll see what this is in the future, or maybe in this video or whatever, but the idea is that this basically sets up Bitcoin when a Vagrant box is created. So let me show you basically what Vagrant is. So first step, of course, you have to have a Vagrant file in your current folder. I have one here, which is this here. And then you can access the Vagrant commands. So box list basically shows me I have CentOS 7 downloaded. This can be used generally. And then I can basically create a Vagrant box or Vagrant virtual machine that follows the commands in this Vagrant file just by running one command, Vagrant up. Now I think I have one booted, so okay, so it's not booted. Oh yeah, so it says already running. So then once you have it running, you just SSH into it, and everything is configured, and it's real easy. And there you have it. So you're running. So right now you're SSH'd into the Vagrant virtual machine. And then here I've set up everything. So Bitcoin D is available. You have Bitcoin CLI to test out the RPC interface and so on. Okay, so this is basically what the Vagrant environment is about. So we've done that. Okay, so setting up Bitcoin D, well, I've covered that, but you can copy this SH file if you want, and if you run it on your Vagrant box or in a remote server, assuming you're running CentOS, because of the yum here, you can change that to apt-get or whatever for Ubuntu Debian style systems. It should set up everything easily. Actually, on Ubuntu and Debian, you have the aptitude actually has Bitcoin listed, so you can just say apt-get install Bitcoin. But on CentOS and Fedora and these kind of guys, the Red Hat based distributions, they don't have Bitcoin in their repositories. Okay, so that's it. So you want to exit, you just write log out, and it's closed. And now we're back in the on my local machine. So local machine, you can switch really quickly between local machine and dev environment really easily. And actually, what Vagrant does is, if you just go back here, Vagrant actually takes the folder your Vagrant file is, the root folder, which is hello Bitcoin. It takes it and it maps it to sync in your home folder. So as you can see here, these files, they're basically a mirror of the current folder the Vagrant file is in, which is really cool. So if I edit any files here, they'll be reflected in the virtual machine instantly. So for example, if I update my, my to-do isn't listed actually. But anyways, I mean, it's kind of like a mounted volume of your folder on the Linux machine, on the development virtual machine. So that's it, I guess, for setting up Bitcoin. It's quite easy. And there's a really nice URL you can use that shows you how to set up Bitcoin. Which is, actually I forgot it, but you can just go to the Bitcoin download page. Actually, that's the easiest thing to do. Bitcoin.com/download. No, I forget what it was. Yeah, this is it. So you can go to the Bitcoin download page, and here you can download it for different operating systems. You can actually, if you're running if you don't want to use Vagrant, for example, you can just run it on OS 10 or Windows or whatever. Okay, so that's that for the intro. Now I want to make a really simple build. So the next item to do this, I want to make a really simple build that's using Spray JSON and Akka actor. Okay, so right now I have a really basic Scala code, but I'd like to use just like basic usage of both Akka and Spray JSON just to make sure everything's working like really correctly. So I'll leave that to the next video because I think this video is getting a bit long. And yeah, in the next video I'll go through, we'll go through step by step, as I mentioned in the previous video, in a really informal way, whereby I'll just be half of the time browsing through web pages. But you know, I might edit out some things if it gets too long, or I get stuck on something for too much time, but that's my idea for this series. And as usual, if you like the content, please subscribe. If you have any suggestions for further videos, if you have any comments on the code or anything I said or so on, just leave a comment and I'll be sure to get around to answering that as soon as possible.